All right, welcome back to week 2 of Lab 2. So today we're going to go through and actually graph the data that we collected last week. And so you can find that data up here in the Announcements tab for my section. You can go to the Announcements tab and click this link. It'll take you to a copy of our collective lab data. If you're in a different section, you're going to want to get with your instructor and see how they want you to get access to that data. Okay, now the very first thing you want to do when you're in this view is go to File, and then you're going to want to click Save As, and save a copy of this workbook online, okay? Do not click any of these other buttons, click this top button. So go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and give it a new name, something that matters to you, right? This is just for you to see, and then hit Save. Okay, and then it's going to reload the page and give you a new copy. So you should see up here, it is now a new copy. And so this is no longer the original file. Okay, so now that you have this, you should see these nice little tables over here that I've made. If you're not in my section, you might not have one, but you can easily go in and just make a table the way I've done it. And that'll be super helpful when you graph. Okay, but my section, you already have these tables. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start by averaging the class data, okay? So the way I do that is I hit equal, and I type average in all caps, okay? And then I put a parenthesis. Inside of that after that first parenthesis, I want to highlight, I'm holding down left click and highlighting this row, okay? And then I want to close my parenthesis. After I've done that, okay, I have two parentheses, my average equal, everything just looks like this, then I hit enter. And it will automatically take the average of that second row, okay? And then now I could do this again and again, right, for each one, but that would be tedious. And so what Excel actually can do is it's smart, so it can do it for you. So if I go and I click the tab on the lower right-hand cell and I pull it down, it'll automatically calculate all those numbers. And you can see, I click in, you see up here, it's doing the appropriate row, right? So this is drop 2, which would be row 3, and it's calculating the average for that row automatically. So you don't have to worry about it. You have to do it once and it'll do it automatically. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for the alcohol concentration. Average, open parenthesis, holding down left click on that first row, okay? Close my parenthesis. See, I'm closed it over here. Hit enter. Okay, now I have an average for that first row. And again, Excel is smart. All I have to do is click this tab, release, and then automatically all those averages are calculated. And you can click in and double check if you want to make sure that it's doing the appropriate row. But it should be fine. Okay, now I want to make my graph. So the way I do that is I'm going to highlight this entire table. So I'm holding down left click and highlighting the entire table. And I'm going to the Insert tab, okay? So go to the Insert tab, and then go and click this drop-down arrow, and click this chart, stacked line with markers. Don't click any of these ones next to it. You want stacked line with markers. Click that, and then boom, automatically Excel will make this beautiful graph here for me, okay? And so what I want to do with this first is I want to go ahead and delete this title, right? We don't need it. It's not necessary. Your book talks about, I think, having a title, but we don't need it. And the way you know what to include in this graph is by looking at the assignment on Canvas, okay? So the assignment on Canvas looks like this, Lab 2, Daphnia Heart Rate Graphs, Data Analysis, and it has a rubric with everything you need. And so as long as you refer to this rubric, you should be fine, right? You should be able to get full points. And one thing the rubric says is we need figure numbers and captions, okay? And so do I have a figure number and a caption? No, I do not. So I want to add one. I want to hit Insert, Text Box, and that'll create a text box, which I can then add, okay? I want to enlarge it to make it look a little nicer, and then I'm going to click Figure 1, and then you want to give it an intelligent caption, right? So if I just say pond water graph, alcohol graph, doesn't really explain to me what's going on. So I want to say the effects of pond water versus alcohol on Daphnia heart rate, okay? And so that would be a good caption for this graph. Then I want to go to my graph, right click, and hit Format. And I'm going to go ahead and add an axis label. So the way you do that is go to Horizontal Axis, and then click Axis Title, okay? And then you want to do the same thing for vertical axis. Click axis title. Okay, I can close this now. And you see I have two generic titles. Is that good, having it labeled axis title? No, we don't want it to say that, right? We want it to be, again, an intelligent title. So I'm going to double click that and I can edit it here. I'm going to edit it to treatment, okay? Excuse me. So now I have, oops, let's try that again. Edit that to treatment. And then you want to click out of that, okay? And then close that, and now it's changed to treatment. Okay, double click this one, and we want to change it to what? Daphnia, or yes, Daphnia heart rate, okay? And we're going to put the units, beats per minute, okay? So go ahead and click OK on that. And now we have a graph that looks really good, right? We have our y-axis is labeled Daphnia heart rate, beats per minute, we know the unit, and then treatment. And the units are intrinsic in there. And so we have everything set up really nicely. So this graph is actually good. This would be good to go. And you can double check the rubric to make sure you're not missing anything. What do we have? We have our figure numbers and captions. These are for the other plots. We'll talk about that in a second. We have a y variable, an x variable, and we have values and units, right? We know what they are. They're labeled. It's treatments. And we have the concentrations down here. And then the Excel sheet name is already named. We have pretty good scaling, right? It doesn't look wonky. You can clearly see the lines. And then we have legends, right? These are legends down here, and these are automatically generated. So that's great. Our first graph is done. Now, if you remember down here, there's different tabs, right? So we have one for alcohol, one for caffeine, one for unknown. Caffeine, you're going to want to do essentially the same thing. So I won't go through the entire steps here, but you want to use the same steps used for alcohol and make a caffeine graph on your own. And so don't forget to label the axes. Don't forget to have a figure number, so it would be figure 2 if you do it second. And then you want to have an intelligent title for that as well. Okay, unknowns. Okay, unknowns are a little bit different. You want to just pick, you're all going to have the same control. So you're going to use the control just as we did for alcohol. So you would average across. I want to show you real quick how to do it with spaces if you don't want to include the spaces. You could, but if you're ever trying to, not put that in your calculation, what you want to do is hold Control, left click on the cell you want, then release left click, and then again, press left click, hold it down, highlight, release left click. I'm holding Control this whole time. Left click, hold down, highlight, release, left click, hold down, highlight, release. And you hold Control again throughout. Close that parenthesis, average. And then when I pull that tab down, it'll automatically do that. Okay. And so you can do the same thing down here for the unknown agent. You just want to make sure if you had unknown agent A, you pick A. If you had unknown agent B, you pick B. Unknown agent C, you click C. So on and so forth. So you only want to do your agent. You don't need to make, you should only have one graph out of this, right? So it would be, if you had agent A, it would be drops versus agent A on one graph. You would not have B and C. Okay, and so to make your graph automatically generate correctly, you want to replace the X where it says agent X with whatever agent you have. So if I had agent A, all these would say agent A, and this would say agent A. If I had agent B, all these would say agent B, and this would say agent B. Okay, so you should do that. You'll be creating an average just like you did for alcohol and for caffeine, and then generating a graph for that, and that will be your figure 3. Okay, and so let's go back to the assignment. So after you've done that, you should have all the things that you need. So you'll have plots for heart rate data with control, and so all 3 graphs should have that control. You should have an alcohol treatment graph plotted against the control, a caffeine treatment graph plotted against the control, and then whatever unknown agent you had plotted against the control. What else? That's pretty much it. For the Excel sheet, I only require you to have 3 tabs. So it's the 3 tabs that are already here. If you're in a different section, talk to your instructor and make sure that's what they want. But for my section, 3 tabs, put your graph in the corresponding tab to where the data is. So alcohol graph goes here, caffeine graph will go here, unknown graph goes here. Okay, when you're done with the assignment, and do be careful, look over the rubric, make sure everything's okay. Ask me if you need help. When you're done, go to File, Save As, and then you can download a copy to your computer. Then you can go back to the assignment and upload that copy here. So it'll take these 2 Excel formats. After you do that, you're done. So that's really all I have for you today. If you have questions, feel free to ask me or whoever your instructor is, and we can also help you with technical difficulties. With that, take care. I'll see you next time.